Yeah, doing great.
Welcome to EIP Editing Office Hour meeting number 57. This is issue number 1440 at Ethereum/PM GitHub repositories. So users or developers who are joining us now, they may notice this change that earlier we used to share the agenda on ETHCat Herders EIP IP GitHub repository. But now for the increased visibility, we are having this agenda added to Ethereum/PM repository. So please feel free to drop your link in the chat for us or as a comment in the agenda. We are joined by Sam Wilson for reviewing these proposals today. And welcome, Sam. And you can perhaps start with the items which are added for final and last call reviews.
Hey, sorry. All right, so I guess we can jump into this. So I took care of this one already, and we can. Are we joined by any authors today?
Yes, we are
Perfect.
joined by Nick. Yeah, so it's 999, PR number 999 on ERC, which seems to be closed. Oh no, 8 is closed.
All right, let's take a look at this. Cool, good. So let's jump into this. Permalink asset-bound token standard.
Yep. Sorry, I was on mute. We added to the specification the rationale, and then started diving a bit more into the other sections and creating our keywords, such as mirrored being terminology used.
So you haven't been assigned a number yet, so that would be why this, yeah.
Yeah, correct.
Okay. So there is a linter that hasn't run on this yet because it hasn't been assigned a number. That's my bad. It will complain a lot about the stuff in here, so just make sure to fix that before we try merging. But I can give you at least a content review for now. So okay. The standard introduces a subclass of tokens known as permalink asset-bound tokens, permalink ABTs. The standard introduces a subclass of tokens known as permalink asset-bound tokens. Specific. Asset-bound token concept. ABTs establish noble ownership paradigm where an asset can own another asset and name composable unless K evolve together over time. These are irreversibly linked to a token of the contract. Okay, so there is another standard that's vaguely like this. I just want to make sure you're aware of it. What was it called? anyways, somewhere in here, there is another standard that is for tokens owning other tokens. I don't remember what it's called. I will try to find it and I will link it to you after this call. But for now, we will continue going.
Yeah, that'd be much appreciated.
So let me just find a pen so I can write that down. And that's okay. Permanent KBT, a permanent binding mechanism. Okay, one spell contract. Using the traditional token transfer proof functions are disabled. Okay. Do you have any questions while I'm reviewing this, or do you just want to review?
The one question, just to clarify what you said previously, so with the number, prior to having the number, it'll be popping up that will have issues, correct? Because right now we don't do the pull request isn't the ERC anymore. There's a new system in play.
Yeah, so it will be here. It's just this linter here, EIP validator. It won't run until the file name has
Gotcha.
like a number. Yeah, so that's it. Single token.
And then also
Okay.
it might be used for context when it comes to ABTs. I think I mentioned this last time, but that's the category as a whole, and there will be variations of those ABTs. So as you see in the motivation, we're going over the general scope of where we can see ABTs be applied, but there's different versions of ABTs, whether it's going to be permalink or let's say sharded ABTs. There's different types of ownership models, but it's all pertaining assets owning asset models. It's just how far you can go and actually have them interact.
Okay, that makes sense. Like the different flavors of kind of the same thing.
Yes, exactly. Okay. In this case, it's permalink, where it's a permanent bond between the two assets.
Yeah, so okay, real world asset ownership structures.
And regarding EPSI, which is the European Blockchain Services Infrastructure, would you also like me to put links in there and also like what they're working? Okay, so just expand what it. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, because like I googled it, it didn't immediately come up unless I typed it wrong. So it'd be nice just to get the full.
Yep.
Okay, okay. Okay, so this is kind of inheriting the behavior from ERC20.
Correct.
Okay.
And it's inheriting, I would say, primarily also for the backwards compatibility aspect, where most of the dApps in the current infrastructure we see um, is accustomed to using that. So it would pop up on, let's say, supported platforms such as OpenSea and other.
Yeah, okay. That makes sense. Okay. 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 Okay, so where's your reveal function defined? Okay. Um,
Apologies, my mic was on mute. So in regards to the reveal itself, as it may not be seen as necessary. I think that's what you're actually writing right there.
yeah,
In
exactly.
some cases, you'd recommend to remove it, or just, let's say, briefly mentioning that there's a possibility of having this, because I think that's at least when it comes to saving, let's say, and reducing fees, that it's pretty useful. And I see the reveal being utilized quite a bit with already existing collections.
Yeah, so if you'd like, you can mention it in your specification section as like an optional interface that you
Mhm.
can implement, kind of like ERC 721's metadata extension. And then you can talk about it in the rationale.
Okay.
But like, you really don't need to mention it at all. Like this comment will kind of explain why, but generally the idea is minting and burning are admin functions, generally speaking. Um, and the person who deploys the contract knows how to interact with the contract. So there doesn't need to be a general purpose interface for minting and burning or revealing, because the person who, again, created the contract already knows how to do those things.
Mhm.
But if you expect it to be like a user thing, like if I can come and mint tokens and that's going to be a standard thing for anybody to do, then it might make sense to include it in the specification section.
Yeah, thank you for the explanation.
Such metadata such as bounce up from the binding tokens contract. Issues that remain synchronized with the asset that they're bound to, different logical require manual updates. So just traceability and visibility across contracts. Disable this immutability. Okay. So are the transfer functions always disabled, or?
In the case of permalink, yes, generally in ABTs, because there's, as I mentioned before, there's different relationships, where let's say one NFT, as another example, can own, like there'll be sharded multiple ownerships for another version of it. Another version is where you can actually, let's say, link them and then unlink them, depending on how you want that relationship to function. But in the case of permalink ABTs, it would be in essence turned off.
Okay, yeah, so that makes sense.
But we're mirroring those results just so you can see the actual owner and the full supply, but all that information is essentially there, and that enables us to have the reveal work the way it does.
Yeah, so I guess what I'm asking is, like, your specification section doesn't mention a transfer function. So it's kind of confusing to say that they're disabled when they're really not specified. Does that kind of make sense?
So it'd be best within the specification section to say that these are present, however, they're being mirrored, or they are essentially disabled.
I think what you have is actually better, where you don't have transfer functions. But instead of saying disabled, you just say that you don't include them in the specification. It's effectively the same thing, because, like, if you call a function that doesn't exist, it reverts. Well, it stops, but it has no effect. So you could just change it from disabled to not specified, or omitted from the interface, as opposed to saying disabled. I think that'd be more clear. Yeah, okay. Yep, that's fine. Yeah, so you can just delete this. Since it's a new standard, there's no backwards compatibility. That's fine. Test cases, you can just delete this whole section because it's optional. And then if you end up wanting test cases later, you can add the section back in. Yeah, I'll keep this just because, like, okay, security considerations. Bound to the non-fungible token if an individual loses access to it. Yep. To mitigate this risk, we strongly recommend the risk of standards like a non-fungible. Okay. 6809. Okay. Good. And that's good. And then I'll give some non-editorial comments here.
And while I was Or I'll let you finish first, then I'll ask.
Good. There, all right. You had a question?
Yes. So I know it's in review, but there was the one that you might have been speaking about was ERC 6551, non-fungible token bound accounts. And I'm curious if that's the one you were referring to, because
So this is one, yeah, this
it's
isn't the
similar, but
exact
it's
one. Yeah.
It is
It's similar, but this isn't the
similar.
exact one
Okay.
I was thinking of. Yeah, there is one specifically for like a token owning another token.
Mm.
Yeah, but this one is pretty close. But it isn't permanent, so I can see why you wouldn't want to use this one.
Yeah, I'll take a look. Because, and do you think it's worth comparing potentially this one within the rationale as well? Because I can see how we can describe how there are some similarities, but there's also differences. Or would that be best for the other one, if any?
So that is a good thing to do generally, and
Mhm.
it should go in your motivation section, like because you're talking about why to choose one standard over another.
Right.
Where rationale is more for describing like why you made certain choices within the document. But I will warn you that if you mention another ERC, especially ones that aren't final, your ERC won't be able to progress past that ERC's status. So, for example, this one's in review. So, if you
Yeah.
link to the standard, you won't be able to go past review until this one does. So, it's up to you. You're allowed to do that. It's just keep that in
Gotcha.
mind. Yeah.
Thank you for that.
No worries.
It's a good
Did you have
thing to
anything else
know.
on this one?
No, that was all.
Okay, cool. I'll assign you a number as soon as I can. I'm sorry about the wait.
All right. And is there anything else that we should do for getting to the draft phase, or can we continue working on it within the draft phase moving
Oh,
forward
you
once
can
we
you
have
can
that
definitely
number?
continue working on it. Yeah.
Okay, marvelous.
Oh, and I will also mention that moving between the statuses is author driven. So when you feel it's ready, you open the pull request to move it into review, and then you're responsible for finding people or groups to review it, and so on. That's all on you.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much, Sam.
Oh, no worries. My pleasure.
And next,
All
we
right.
are joined by author who has two proposals, two PRs actually. One is 9631. It's added in miscellaneous. I guess it's an attempt to update the GitHub ID 9631.
There we go. Yeah. All right. This is interesting.
We are joined by the author, and he may not be able to talk, but able to respond in chat if we have any question.
Sure. I'm just trying to figure out what the specific proof is here. Oh, this line here saying that it changed usernames. Yeah, okay, so there is a redirect. Yeah, these are always kind of difficult. I will do this one offline. 631, and I will let you know about it.
And we have another proposal, another PR 9633, which is a draft proposal.
Okay, 9633, same kind of idea. Oh no, this is a different one. All right.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Hey, I'm super down for something like that. That would be very excited. Okay, let's come up. So descriptions are probably one of the hardest parts of EIPs. So please don't be offended that I'm rewording this. It's just you want to kind of expand on the ideas that are introduced in your title and not just restate the title. And then all of this stuff here, this EIP adds a standardized way to support, is kind of just fluff. You only get 144 characters in your description, so it's really useful to be super concise. So let's see. Okay. Wrapper type transaction to sign up on Ethereum. Okay. And this. Okay. As quantum computers are getting more advanced when their post-quantum algorithms have been designed. These algorithms often contain drawbacks such as large key size, low signature and verification times. These additions make them more expensive to compute and store in the current CP51 curve in use. Okay, the CIP provides a future proof. Okay, so Okay. Resolution to the server way to represent alternative algorithms within a transaction. Okay. So you say bytes 107, gas per additional byte 16, a new 2718 transaction. Yep. With a transaction type of defined below. The alg type is an unsigned 8-bit integer that represents the algorithm. You send the transaction to the parent field. The EIP does not define algorithms for use for this transaction type. Okay. The signature info field contains the information required to verify the signature for transaction in the parent field. This is a binary of arbitrary lines, which would then be passed the verification function. The parent field contains another E2718 type transaction envelope. Well, must be able to contain every. It's supposed to be which. Is this supposed to be which instead of while? Seems like it might be. Must be able to contain every possible transaction type, including legacy transaction with a transaction type there. But the only exception is really the algorithmic transaction itself, which must not be placed within itself. Okay. All these transactions contain Y parity, R, and S values, which must be set to byte 0 if wrapped in a alg. Okay. Okay. So. Okay. Yeah, okay, so. All right. Good. If new transaction. The algorithmic transaction must not generate a transaction received with transaction. Okay, must generate a transaction received with the transaction it is wrapping. Okay. Algorithms. Further algorithms must be. Each type of algorithm is follows with the following fields. Alg type that you would maximum size signature for field of transaction. Verification of the signature. Okay, so this is Okay. What's the abbreviation used? PQ. Okay. So we're going to skip. Oh, that's interesting. Does that work? Setting 3, 4, 5. 2, 3. Yeah. Give me 1 second. I'll be right back.
Nick, I see your hands raised. Curious, is it related to the PR that was just reviewed?
It was the previous one. I had a question for Sam just regarding numbering, but I'll wait until he's done with this one and I'll find a good moment to jump in. I'm in no rush.
Sure. Thank you.
Yep, of course.
Sorry about that. I'm back. Did you have a question, Nick?
Yes. Really quick, in regards to the numbering, since I know it's changed, and with ABTs being the big category and we're going to have assets underneath there, is there a way or is there the opportunity to have the numbers similar. So for example, in the past, what we did with ERC 6808 and ERC 6809, we made the pull requests at the same time. At this point in time, we're not doing that with the other variations, but it would be nice if they were somewhat similar. Is that possible now with the numbering system, or?
Not really. It's just
Okay.
they're just going to be assigned in order from like that the pull requests are created.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. That was my
No
question.
worries.
Appreciate it. Have a nice day, and thank you once more.
Oh, you too. Thanks for coming out.
Everybody here, Akash, Pooja, Sam, have a good one. Till next time.
you.
Consider transactions invalid where len tx signature info is greater than alg max size. Is the function defined below. Okay, good. All transactions penalty must be complete. Yep. Good. All right. Cool. Yeah, this looks great. Just a few small things, and then again, waiting for me to assign a number before the bot will run. So that'll happen hopefully today. All right. So are we moving on to 7837 here?
So we are joined by Mercy, who has some question for PR 930.
ERC?
That's right.
930. Okay. Okay. So has this been February 25th? Yesterday. Perfect. Okay, good. So let's give this a look. Splitting emerging of NFTs, hierarchical NFTs for splitting emerging. So okay. This introduction to ERC 721 and ERC 6150. This introduces a structured parent-child relationship between NFTs and an NFT to be fractionally split into multiple child NFTs, merged back into a single entity, provides interfaces to retrieve an NFT's parent. Children and hierarchical status, ensuring flexible account management. The standard is particularly useful for applications in fractional ownership. Cool. Yeah, that's reasonable. Emerging capabilities. Allowing assets to be dynamically restructured. This purpose is crucial for fractional ownership where assets usually split or merged. Okay. So splitting, one of the key limitations of a 6150 is its rigid hierarchy. Let's 6150. First, a modular file system like hierarchical NFTs. Interesting. Okay. Assets split into smaller independent units. Okay, so this is kind of like, instead of it treating like files, they're more like, well, yeah, I think I'm kind of getting the idea here. This particular user for investors gradually accumulate fractions of a stock, later on own a full share. Okay, this. Fractional parent charge structures. Okay, yeah, I think the motivation does a pretty good job of justifying the proposal. So okay, hierarchical keys. Minsu NFT, Minsu child NFT, mint merge, share bash, optional extensions burnable. Okay, so I will go and make a comment on here. Good, and then transfer share ownership from one NFT to another. Okay, under the same parent. Optional extensions burnable. You might want to make this a header. Oops. Yeah, we'll keep that like that. Okay. Okay, make it backwards compatible. It's provided below. Okay. All right, cool. Yeah, that's it for this one. When you fix these, we'll get back around to it and review it.
I'm not sure. Mercy, do you have any further question? I thought you mentioned that you had something to
Yeah,
ask.
I wanted to ask a question because I want to know if like what is really expected for an ERC to be finally merged? Like if I have an ERC, for example, and then how do I get the community to like start using it or start making implementation? Like I understand the EIP aspect, but I don't really get the ERC. I don't know if what I'm saying.
You can't. You can't force people to implement stuff. That's why a lot of ERCs kind of just die, because even though they might be a good idea, they don't have like a company behind them that's pushing for it. But like, I guess the idea would be like you'd reach out to interested parties, like for anything NFT related. The OpenSea Discord is a good resource. There's a lot of active developers on there. There's also an NFT working group that has like members from different community organizations in there, and you can mention it there. But really, it's like the only ERCs that are going to get adopted are the ones that have some kind of commercial push behind them. As unfortunate as that is.
Okay, like what makes you now to decide that okay, this ERC is ready to be implemented, like the final review and then it gets out there, like what's the
That's up
concept
to the
behind it?
others.
Okay.
Yeah, when they decide it's ready, they can move it to final.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, that's why. Yeah, no worries. That's why there's like a good example here is so soulbound tokens. There's like 2, 3, 4, 5 different types of definitions for soulbound tokens, and like I don't think anybody has settled on which one is the correct soulbound token. Yeah, so
Oh,
until somebody does, they're all just going to be here.
okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, no worries.
Yeah. I don't know if we have much time here, but whenever you get a chance, maybe you can take a look at the last call proposals. And I believe there is one requested by EOF team. They wanted this proposal to be moved to review. So yeah, you can take a look.
I can't move this one to review. I'm an author on it.
Okay, no worries. I think one good news that I was planning to share with the community is that
Oh, wait, I'm an author on this. I can approve it.
you are not. Good.
Yeah, I thought it needed an editor approval. It needs an author approval, which I can do. There.
Okay. Hopefully that will get merged now.
It should, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And I wanted to share it with the community that earlier we used to have just 2 office hours in a month, like once in 2 weeks. Then we started having one more with EIP focused only. And I'm very happy to share that now we will have editing office hour every week. The alternate week will be for EIP plus ERC, and same goes for EIPs only. So now we have more opportunities to get the proposal reviewed and ask your questions with different editors. We are supported by Sam Wilson, of course, and also Gajendra Singh and Mankanet. So people, if you are listening to this, please feel free to add your pull request, which you think is not being pushed or is being stopped for any reason. If you have any question, this is the best place to ask your questions and get them answered. And yeah, I think this is merged now. With that, I think that's pretty much time we have got for today. Thank you so much, Sam, for reviewing all of these. And yeah, whenever you get a chance, you can perhaps take a look at them async as well. Otherwise, they will be carried over to the next editing office hour. Thank you,
Awesome.
everyone.
Thanks so much.
Thanks. Have a great rest of the day.